This week on Canadian Whitetail.
You passed some darn nice deer and some young ones and a couple old bucks, but come on, go down.
My first Canadian whitetail.
Deer hunting is a lot like life. It's not easy, and if you want results, it's a lot of work. And like life, there's no shortcuts, no workaround or easy way to your goals. And if your goal is to hunt the biggest free-range whitetails that have ever walked, it's 365 days a year of preparation and dedication. For us, that's all fueled by a passion for whitetails, and to share these hunts and the stories of these deer on film. As do-it-yourself hunters, success means a never-ending cycle of getting ready, scouting, and setting up, until all of that work is not work anymore and it simply becomes your lifestyle and what you do. And you do it so that when the season is finally here and it's time to head in and hunt, you have a chance for that one moment, that 1 second that we all dream about, a chance to experience that feeling that when all your hard work pays off, and that giant steps out. Just a gorgeous animal. Unbelievable. Incredible deer.
Dean Partridge's Canadian Whitetail is proudly brought to you by Ozonics, undetectable, undeniable. Limb Saver, products that work. Big & J Long Range Attractants. The aroma is super strong. The range is super long. Excalibur Crossbow. The most trusted crossbows on the planet. Under Armour. Never detected. Always lethal. Elite Archery. The world's most shootable bow. Central Boiler Outdoor Wood Furnaces. Performance and value by design. Bog Pod. Monopods, bipods, and tripods. The Whitetail Institute of North America, premium food plot seed specifically engineered for whitetail deer. And by the Heater Bodysuit, #1 in cold weather hunting gear.
Sometimes having a border between friends can make it difficult when you want to hunt together. Here in Saskatchewan, for a U.S. resident to hunt whitetails, the only way is with a registered outfitter. But after years, finally, we were able to have our good friend Kyle Smith up to Northern Saskatchewan to hunt whitetails with us at our outfitting camp, Canadian Whitetail Outfitters. And now with the news that Kyle could join us up at our northern camp, plans were set, and he was going to head up for Missouri.
You know, I can remember growing up as a kid, I'd sit there and watch hunting shows 24/7, and one of my most, visible memories of watching these shows with these giant Canadian whitetails with just super dark chocolate horns and a lot of mass and giant bodies. And I kind of set it in my mind that one day, I was gonna get out there and I was gonna go to Saskatchewan and kill one of these giant deer. And never in my wildest dreams would I ever imagine it would happen, but I set it as a goal for me throughout my lifetime to go to Canada once and kill one of these giant whitetails. And to get the opportunity to do that was kind of like living out one of my dreams. Well, we just got into camp. We started hunting tomorrow and want to make sure everything's dialed on the TC. I was fortunate enough to have a window seat, and I literally saw an airline luggage guy toss my gun into the plane, so it'll be a miracle if it's still on. somehow it's still on. So, get geared up and get ready for the hunt tomorrow.
Over 1,400 miles from home, Kyle gets settled in his blind, overlooking a meadow in northern Saskatchewan, to begin living out his goal of hunting big chocolate horn Canadian whitetails. And his first encounter would not keep him waiting.
Gorgeous deer, man. It's the first hour and a half of the hunt. It's a big old 6 or 7 year old deer steps out. He's just super thick, short tine. I don't even know what to tell you. I mean, I just had more fun watching him than I did anything, so probably regret that. That's what it's all about, enjoying it.
You're watching Dean Partridge's Canadian Whitetail, North America's premier wild whitetail show.
It's day 2 here in Canada, in Saskatchewan. And we had a great day yesterday. We saw some great bucks, that one old deer. I'm going to nickname him Rocky for now because he's just a giant deer. It was just fun to watch him. You don't get to see deer that big that often, so it's our second morning. We've got the ozonics running, and we're about 15 minutes away from legal shooting light. Got a deer down here coming through already. He's a little forkhorn. It's gonna be a good day. It's cold. Gonna get the TC loaded up. Just sit and wait. Mature. He's a clean tan. He's got one stroke sign on his left. It's a really cool buck, but it's a good sign that they're starting to move.
Not long into the day, Kyle has good deer movement, and the deer that he is here to see is a split brow 10, a deer from the trail camera that we were hoping Kyle would have an encounter with in person to judge for himself.
It's gotta be another buck.
As the smaller buck postures over to the timber's edge, Kyle's about to have the chance to judge the split brow buck up close.
That's him.
Now, 1,500 miles from home and only day 2, Kyle's facing that decision, if this is where his hunt ends, on this beautiful buck.
Welcome to this week's Canadian Whitetail Scouting segment. Locate, learn, set up, hunt. Brought to you by Big & J Long Range Attractants. The aroma is super strong. The range is super long.
A food source, a travel route, or a bedding area. Where's the best place to set up on a specific buck that you may be hunting? This will change in each individual scenario depending on the property. But what will not change is that you will want to hunt as close to the bedding area as possible without bumping deer getting to your stand. Deer will get up from bed in the early evening to head to the fields and food sources to feed. And as a hunter, our goal is for a daylight encounter with that target buck. Sometimes that food source is close to bedding, sometimes it's too far, but it's more than obvious that the closer you can choke up on the bedding area, the earlier in the day that encounter will be. Sometimes the closest you can get may be way out on the edge of that field because entering the bush at all at that specific spot will bump deer. But sometimes, depending on the lay of the land, you can choke up closer to the bedding area to a nice bowl or a natural funnel where the bucks will stage up before entering the field. And they'll stage up there much earlier in the evening, all while being able to maintain a strategic position that is easy to get to and from without bumping the deer. The closer that you can safely get to that deer's bedding area on his travel route, will directly impact how early or late in the evening that you might have an encounter with that target buck. And that's your Canadian Whitetail Scouting segment for the week.
This week's Canadian Whitetail Scouting segment has been brought to you by Big & J Long Range Attractants. This segment has been brought to you by Central Boiler Outdoor Wood Furnaces. A central boiler easily connects to your existing forced air, in-floor radiant, baseboard, or dual heat system to heat your entire home in domestic water. Central Boiler, performance and value by design.
Welcome back. Before the break on day 2 of Kyle's Canadian hunt, he's presented with an opportunity at a great mature deer, and all the decisions that come with this encounter.
I would have been happy to harvest this deer, but I chose not to, just in the fact that I wanted to enjoy the rest of my hunt. You know, I had 6 days. I'm gonna get some time in and get the full experience.
Well, with Kyle mentioning that he passed that nice 9-pointer, hoping for the full Canadian experience, well, that experience that Kyle was looking for came in the form of a big frame 5x5 with a split G2 that had been on our trail camera for several weeks.
Long beams, tall tines, a uniquely split right G2, and an enormous body. This was the buck that Kyle had dreamed of when thinking of big mature Saskatchewan bruisers, and the deer that he had his heart set on waiting for.
We've had just 2 great hunts back to back. We saw some really, really nice bucks. There's a buck right there.
Barely settled over the meadow on the morning of day 3, Kyle strayed into deer as this good-looking young buck appears.
It's our 3rd morning here in Saskatchewan, and we've already had a great buck come by. We had some activity early this morning, some bucks on their nose, and then this buck popped out. He was a great buck, man. I think he was just a year too young. But this place is incredible. We've seen bucks after bucks, and good quality bucks too. I'm just having fun sitting here watching these animals do their things.
Kyle's exactly right. I'm just enjoying watching them do their thing. The late season in northern Canada is definitely a beautiful thing to witness and appreciate.
This is what you dream of when you think of Canada or big Saskatchewan whitetails. Just cold, snowing. Bucks are running. They're running left and right.
Whether hunting down south here in the farmland or up north in the big timber, patience almost always wins. And although he's had great deer movement, seen some fantastic bucks, Kyle's hoping that his continued patience is going to bring him an encounter with the big split G2 buck on day 4.
Well, it's day 4 in Saskatchewan. We're at the same meadow that we hunted yesterday. We saw some great deer, some great bucks too. There's a lot of activity in here, so we decided to come back in and give it another sit. We've got Big 10 with a split 2 on his right side. We had some weather finally pushed through, and it's the first sunny day in probably 3 or 4 days. So I'm hoping they get on their feet here in a little bit. It should be a good day. Saw him in here yesterday. He was running a bunch of does. He's going to be a really good deer next year. He's got an extra point in between his G2 and G3, and then a drop tine off the end of his main beam. That's a good sign they're starting to move. So
This segment of Canadian Whitetail has been brought to you by Hoyman Premium Tree Saws. Hoyman Premium Tree Saws, the first truly extendable folding saws. You're watching Dean Partridge's Canadian Whitetail, North America's premier wild whitetail show.
Welcome back. Before the break, Kyle was hunkered in on day 4 waiting for the big split G210. But waiting was not something that was going to take long today. When Kyle looks down, and nearly directly under his stand, there he appears. All 350 plus pounds of this northern giant was now in Kyle's meadow, and Kyle was getting ready.
Matt!
Big, mature, and absolute tank of a deer, the king of his woods. This was the deer that Kyle had traveled to hunt.
Go down, baby, come on. Go down. Yes. Yes. All right, man. We got her. First Saskatchewan whitetail right there. Yes. It's a great day, man. These deer are on their feet. It's just a matter of time. It's super, super cold out. That's that split tube buck that we were waiting on. Whew, thank you, Lord. That's a good deer, man. I'm pumped. This is what it's all about, man. Sitting here all day, putting your time in.
Well, we got a text from Kyle about 2 hours ago, and it took us that long to get here. Said he'd shot a deer, and he fell right in front of the blind.
Yeah, he ran about 10 yards, fell down, and he actually postured another buck, and he ran him off. And then once I shot that deer and he went down, that other buck came back, and I didn't see him, and he just pushed him off the field. So.
Yeah. So this is kind of where he went in, actually right around the corner here. So we're just gonna scooch in there. He was hurt bad though. Right?
Yeah, I mean, he would have died right there if that other buck hadn't messed with him. So.
Okay, well let's go in there. You got that gun loaded?
Yeah, I got a charge in here.
Okay.
So
Let's go in there.
And I remember walking up to that deer, just humble and grateful for the opportunity to be out there and living my dream come true. And it was truly just a beautiful giant Canadian whitetail. They're just amazing animals, and when you harvest a deer like that, there's nothing but respect for what he's experienced and what he's lived through for 4, 5, 6 years throughout his life.
That's him, huh? That's him. Oh man, he broke a tine.
Yeah, I broke that G2 off there.
Broke the 2 off. That was about that high on the trail camera, but that is a beautiful deer.
I can't thank you guys enough, man.
He's got some good weight too. I knew in the trail camera, you know, you've definitely put your time in, and on the trail camera, you passed some darn nice deer, and some young ones, and a couple old bucks. But I mean, we're on day 4 here now, and yeah.
This place is incredible, man. You guys, the quality of deer and the genetics you guys have here is just second to none. I mean, I've seen so many deer pass so many bucks, and I didn't even know what I was looking for anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's not a 180 incher behind every tree, but there's not a 180 incher behind any tree in the world,
in the whole world, yeah.
So, I mean, this is a big, mature Northern Saskatchewan bush buck, and, you know, I mean, he's pretty cool.
It's my first Canadian whitetail.
All right, let's go get the bike and get him out of here.
Load him up, sounds good.
All right.
I remember on the way home, I was sitting there thinking, you know, here I am back in the Midwest in Missouri, doing what I love to do, running trail cameras, putting in food plots, you know, putting hours in the stand, and how cool it was to know that 20 hours north of me in Saskatchewan that Dean and Jason are doing the same exact thing. You know, I think it speaks for us as hunters, the love and respect that is you know, not just in your state, but it's nationwide.
Closed captioning for Canadian Whitetail is provided by huntsask.ca, your information source for Canada's best whitetail hunting. Hunt Saskatchewan, Canada. Canadian Whitetail has also been brought to you by Ramcat Broadheads, hits like a ram, cuts like a cat, Kula Buck, portable walk-in cooler systems, Scott Archery, CBE bow sights, and Black Eagle arrows. Canadian Whitetail has also been brought to you by these fine sponsors. For exclusive content, follow Dean and the team on Facebook, as well as on Instagram and Twitter @WhitetailDean. For Canadian Whitetail gear and apparel, visit CanadianHuntShop.com.